again with ships.
With what?
With ships.
No, by plane.
With ships.
By the Disney Cruise Line.
With ships.
Read that from the top again.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So he will take us into bondage again with ships. Who did that happen to? That happened to us, right, bro? That happened to us. It's a basic process of elimination. You do an easy Google search and you'll figure out the nation of people taken into slavery with ships. But it don't stop there. It doesn't stop there. We're going to figure out what happened to the children of Israel after they got off of these ships. Read.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
Meaning the same way that I told you is how it's going to happen. Read.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
You won't see Jerusalem again. You won't see that other side of the world again. Read.
And there you should be sold unto your enemies.
What?
And there,
when you got off of these ships, read.
Ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
You shall be sold unto the enemies that the Lord sent against you in hunger and in thirst. Read that part again.
And there, ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
For what?
For bondmen.
For what?
For bondmen. Bondwomen.
That's a slave man and a slave woman. Who else did that happen to in history? Don't worry, I'll wait. Who else did that happen to in history? Nobody. As a matter of fact, you do a little bit of research, you'll figure out that Israelis, they funded those slave ships.
Right.
They funded your slavery into the four corners of the earth, into every nation. Go to, jump down to verse 64.
Verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
How did he do that?
The Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
He scattered us by the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. The good ship Jesus. These are slave ships that were prophesied in the 68th verse of Deuteronomy 28. Give me that verse where it says this for a silent one. I think that's 36 or 37 or something like that. You see, these curses were put upon us because he broke God's commandments. You came to this side of the earth because you broke commandments.
And it shall be upon thee for a sign, for a wonder.
You got a question?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I hear you guys shouting. I'm curious if you guys are professing today.
Today we're professing the curses that were put upon Israel. Like we're going through Deuteronomy 28. Read that again, verse 68.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68.
These are, now when you read from the verse 15 to 68, these are curses that were put upon the nation of Israel. So basically what we're doing is showing who the children of Israel are today. Read verse 68.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So he will bring thee into Egypt again. We just explained that Egypt meant bondage, meant slavery. For instance, if I say we're going back on ships, we know we're going back into slavery. We're going to be sold. Read that again.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
With ships, right? Read up.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
The same way I told you. Read.
Thou shalt see it no more again. Thou, and there, you shall be sold unto your enemies. For bondmen, bondwomen.
And you shall be sold unto your enemies, meaning the other nations. When you read in the book of Nehemiah, I think it's 5 and 8. So, like I was saying, a simple process of elimination. Who did that happen to? What people on the planet?
Black people, I guess.
Right. From American blacks down to Bahamians, Jamaicans, Haitians, Cubans, Dominicans, Panamanians, Cubans, all of those were taken into captivity. Native Americans even. That happened to all of them. It's just that our people need to do the research. What did I tell you to get after that? 46, read that.
46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder.
And these curses will be upon us for a sign and a wonder. Meaning, when you see a sign, it's identifying something. See a stop sign, you know that you got to stop. You see these signs on a particular people, that's how you know that they're the nation of Israel. That never happened to the Israelis, the so-called Jewish people living over there in the land today. That never happened to them. As a matter of fact, the only connection that they had to slavery is that they funded those slave ships. Their money funded us going into every other nation because it was big business. A lot of these insurance companies and banks made their start from slavery. Chase Bank, Wachovia, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Chase, I said that. So these people, they got their start off of our slavery. Let's go to Joel chapter 3. Because it doesn't only talk about the transatlantic slave trade, but it also goes into speaking about the trans-Saharan slave trade when Africans and Arabs sold us. Read that. Verse 3. Start at verse 3.
Joel, chapter 3, verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people.
Start at 2.
Joel, chapter 3, verse 2. And I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Now this is talking about in the Middle East. This is going into the last day, the day of judgment. Read on.
And I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel.
For the Israelites, read.
Whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
That's going to slave. We were sold to every nation. We were slaves in every single nation, even the Chinese.
So I'm curious about the phenomenon. I've never seen this kind of attire before. You guys, non-Orthodox Christians, what is the general belief here?
Now it's not. Give me Proverbs 1:3. We don't teach Christianity because Christianity, though they use the Bible, they don't teach the Bible because they teach about being spiritual Israel and they teach that you don't have to keep God's commandments. But any nation on this planet abides by laws, statutes. So it's when you think about that, it's the same thing. This nation has a specific set of laws that the Most High God gave them. Now this is what we teach. This is the doctrine of the Bible. Read that.
Proverbs 4, verse 2. For I give you good doctrine.
So if your pastor is not preaching you the doctrine of this Bible, then something is very wrong with that. Read it.
King James Version.
Yes.
Forsake ye not my law.
What?
Forsake ye not my law.
So that's the doctrine. Don't forsake the commandments. Even Paul taught the commandments. Get 1 Corinthians, I think it's 14:30. Yeah. So even they say that Paul was teaching that people didn't have to keep the commandments. That's a misconception that they have. When you understand, during the time of Paul, you had the Pharisees and Sadducees who taught keeping the sacrificial law, sacrificing lambs for forgiveness of sin.
So in your belief, Orthodox Christianity does not teach following the 10 Commandments?
There's over 600 commandments in the Bible.
Right.
For instance, lying is a sin.
Right.
That's not necessarily in the 10 Commandments. You see what I'm saying?
It is.
That's what I'm getting to. The 10 Commandments is a summarization of all 600 commandments. So when you say thou shalt not bear false witness, that goes into lying, that goes into slandering, gossip, murmuring, all sorts of different commandments, false witnesses and all that.
Right.
Just like the Sabbath day, that goes into keeping the high holy days, the new moon Sabbath, which is coming up in like a few days.
So I'm curious about your denomination. What do you guys call yourselves?
We are the Israelites according to the Bible. That's why I went through Deuteronomy 28.
Okay.
Because the Bible doesn't teach being a Baptist. It doesn't teach being a Pentecostal. It teaches the doctrine, which is the commandments. Give me Ecclesiastes 12:13. That's the whole thing about the Bible. Now, when you come back to your nationality after you get Ecclesiastes, then give me Deuteronomy 10 and 12. Because everything that we tell you, we got to come back here.
Absolutely.
Right. You got that?
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
So let us hear the conclusion of the whole, of everything. Read.
Fear God and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man.
That's the whole duty of man. That's what all the prophets spoke about. In the midst of them prophesying of like future captivities and Christ returning and all these other things, they also were teaching the commandments. That's why I was going to go to 1 Corinthians. Because Paul said, if any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, let him acknowledge that the things that I write to you are commandments of God. So it never changed. We think it changed because a lot of people like to say, well, that was that time. We live in a new day. But how can you say that thou shalt not kill was only for that time and not for the day?
Right. So how deep into the Bible? Again, I'm very intrigued by your attire and why you guys believe that this contributes to your belief. What is?
Oh, the attire.
Yeah.
Okay, give me Revelation. Revelation 1. And I think they start off with Christ coming at 14, right? Yeah. Read that.
Revelation 1:13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot.
So he's clothed with a garment down to the foot. Read.
And girded about the paps with a golden girdle.
So he had a golden girdle. That's what this is right here. Read on.
And it said his hairs were white like wool.
Go to Numbers 15. Now I'm trying to find where they was making these for the priests in Exodus. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you about the fringes and the border blue. Read that.
Numbers 15 verse 38. Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make themselves fringes in the borders of their garments.
So the border is talking about roundabout. Now I just saw this on this morning. I had no time to put my fringes on there, but this is how it looks on the shirt. Read on.
In the borders of their garments throughout them, and it shall be upon you for a fringe.
Because the Most High gave us a dress code. Women are supposed to wear dresses and not pants. That's seen as cross-dressing in the eyes of the Most High when you read Deuteronomy 22:5. Today, that's like a normal thing to us now. This started, women did like...
In 1850.
Right. Because before my grandma passed, I never saw her wear pants. She always wore, like, you know, the long dresses down to the ankles and all of that. That was it on that?
Yeah.
And they're supposed to dress modestly. Men wear pants. If we saw a man walking down the street with a dress and some high heels, we start tripping out. We'd be looking at this dude, maybe a couple of accidents might happen. You understand what I'm saying? So the Most High gave us a dress code. This is a part of that dress code. Get Exodus 28 and start at verse 30.
Exodus 28.
I think that's what it's
And verses 30. Thou shalt put it in the breastplate, judgment, Urim and the Thummim.
So these are Jews. They had a breastplate. We don't have the breastplate, but they had like a breastplate that they wore on their chest. We don't.
And they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before the Lord. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually.
We don't.
And thou shalt make a robe of the ephod of blue.
So we have on a robe. This is the robe right here we're wearing. This is what it's flowing, look like a cape. And so we have the girdle that Christ won, Revelations 1, and we have our robe under there. This is just a regular shirt. You know? Let me see. You know?
And there shall be an hole in the top of it.
In the neck of a shirt, read.
And in the midst thereof, it shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it.
So they were just putting different stitching styles on their garments.
So how do you differentiate when the Bible, because, you know, the argument is the denominations are based on different interpretations, right? How do you know in that context it's a literal interpretation as opposed to figurative?
Give me Isaiah 28. You said, how do I know that is literal?
Yeah.
Because that's talking about the history. This is what they had to do. They were commanded to make these garments. Just like they were commanded to build a temple a certain way. They were commanded to build, they were given like the dimensions on how to build the Ark of the Covenant.
They also supported bigamy back in if we follow that literally. Bigamy was supported back then. Do you guys believe in that?
Explain what you mean. I'm not sure what the word bigamy means.
Multiple wives was being supported. I mean, in the context of the reading right now, we can find 8 people that were inspired by God.
You need 1 Timothy.
They had multiple wives. Do you guys believe in multiple wives?
Right. There are churches that do. It's not according to the scriptures, because Christ gave us a higher understanding when He came. Now we're gonna show you here in the New Testament where that's done away with right now. But then I'm also going to show you a prophecy that when Christ returns, that would be instituted again. Read that.
1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 1. This is a true saying. If a man desire an office of a bishop,
the word bishop is a Greek word that means leader, overseer. Read on.
He desired a good work. A bishop then must be blameless.
A bishop must be blameless means just keeping the commandments. Read on.
A husband of one wife.
Of how many wives?
Of one wife.
So the men are the leaders. Hold that and get 1 Corinthians 11. I'm going to show you the hierarchy of beings on the earth. Read it when you get it.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 1. Be followers of me, even as I am also of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man, Christ.
So the head of every man is Christ. Christ is our leader. Christ is who we answer to. You know?
And the head of every woman is the man.
So the man is the leader. You know?
And the head of Christ is God.
And Christ has a leader. That's the Most High God. That's the hierarchy. Under the woman comes the children because she's responsible for teaching the children while they're still young, while they're still babes. Get out 1 Corinthians 7.
So it's good to meet you guys. Look, my name is Matt. You are?
My name is Keesed.
Keesed?
Keesed. C-H-E-S-E-D.
And brother Sadiq.
Sorry?
Sadiq.
Are those your Bahamian names, or you guys?
I was born with the name Mercedes, like the car. Yeah.
I was born with the name as well.
Okay. Why? What's the biggest conversion in? Is that it?
Isaiah 44:1. Yeah.
Let's get it for you.
For instance, let me give you an example that most people would know. Malcolm X. Why did he name himself X?
I don't know.
He named himself X because our last names come from our oppressors. That was a slave name that he had.
Right.
Whatever his last name is, I don't even know what his last name is. I just know him as Malcolm X.
Right.
So he took that name away from him. But I want to show you where in the scripture that it prophesies about that. 44:1.
Isaiah chapter 44 is 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus says the Lord. Sing it, 44.
Check 45.
You can find more information about
95, verse 5, 44. Yes, sir. That's our website right there. Email, telephone number. That's all the information. Yes, sir.
Isaiah 44 and verse 5. One shall say, I am the Lord, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob.
You see, so that's the prophecy. Because when you read in Isaiah, it tells you that blindness is put on our people. We forgot our heritage, our nationality, all of those things.
Right.
So now this is where he prophesied that they would start to remember and put their names back in remembrance. So that's why we, that's why we do that.
I got you. All right, guys.
All right, man. Have a good day.
Yeah.
All right, where was that? Go back to go back to the multiple wives thing. Go back to 1 Timothy.
So the brother asked a good question because there are Israelites that teach that in this day and age you can have more than one wife. That's not according to the scriptures. In those days when we had our kingdom, when we were living in righteousness under the time of David and Solomon and the other kings, Israelites did have more than one wife. It was in righteousness. It's not how you think of it today, having a side piece and a baby mom and a sugar daddy and all this. That's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. Read that again.
Isaiah, 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 2. A bishop must be blameless.
So the men of Israel, you black and Hispanic men, you are priests of the Most High. That's what we are raising up. Now right now you're not priests, you're not righteous men. You're just niggas and coons.
Right.
You are the way they portray you in the media. That's how we act. But once you start coming back, hold that and get I think it's 1 Kings chapter 2 where he says, show thyself a man. Yeah. Verse 2 and 1.
1 Kings chapter 2. 1. Now, the days of David drew nigh, that he should die.
So David was about to pass away, read on.
And he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth.
He was about to die, read.
Be thou strong therefore, and show thyself a man.
So he's telling him how to be a man.
Read on.
And keep the charge of the Lord thy God.
Read.
To walk in all his ways.
To walk in his ways, meaning keep his commandments. Read on.
To keep his statutes and his commandments.
The word statutes means law. The word commandment means law. There's more than the 10 commandments. There's over 600 commandments in the Bible. Read on.
And his judgments and his testimonies. And as it is written in the law of Moses.
You see that? That's how you become a man.
Right.
That's how you become a leader in the nation.
Go back to 1 Timothy.
Read that again.
The bishop then must be blameless.
A leader, a watchman, overseer. That's what the word bishop means. Read.
A husband of one wife.
Of one wife. Read.
Vigilant.
That's all I want on that. Get 1 Corinthians 7. I think that's where I want to go. So the husband of one wife. There are Israelites that teach that you can have many wives, and they try to say that they're rehearsing the righteous acts. You're supposed to be rehearsing the righteous acts, but now you have to follow Christ. Christ is the leader. You got that? Start at verse 2.
1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 2. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication.
So to avoid fornication, that's going into multiple types of statutes. The overall law is thou shalt not commit adultery. That goes into multiple wives. That's going into being a whore and a whoremonger. That's going into bestiality, homosexuality. All of these are against fornication. But specifically, this is talking about being whores and whoremongers. Read on.
Let every man have his own wife.
Read that from the top again.
Nevertheless, to avoid fornication. Let every man have his own wife.
Have his what?
Have his own wife.
His own wife. Read on.
And let every woman have her own husband.
Have her own husband. Not let them have one husband. Let the woman have her own husband. That's singular. So now in the understanding that Christ gives us in the New Testament, we only to have one wife. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 28.